Hey everybody, Jim and Kelly here, JK Next Garage. Today, we're gonna get the floor pan out of that bird, so stay tuned for that. All right, let's get into it. Time to get this rusty, crusty floor pan out of here. So originally, my thoughts were on doing this floor pan was doing the floor pan, the full floor pan, and the trunk floor all at the same time. It's going to jack the car up, get it all separated, wheel it all out on the body cart, build it on the body cart, all the pieces together, and then roll it back underneath. After thinking about this and Kelly and I talking about this, never done this before, and so we decided that it would be best if we just did piece by piece. That way we don't get too far, have to backtrack because we don't know all the ins and outs on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Jonathan from Vinyl Village's Garage's method. He did this with the Great Pumpkin and the Mockingbird. So we're going to take the floor pan out, expose all the spot welds, separate it there over by the wheel wells there, and the rest of it is all separated right now. And then what we'll do is we'll cut where the frame rails are in here. We'll cut that, expose that, so I can just expose the frame rails and use that as a guide for getting this floor pan in the right spot. Another method is doing it with the full floor pan and the trunk and the frame rails all put together. And Louis at First Generation Garage did that with his Lovebird project. Excellent video. Had his wife help him with that, get it in, and it turned out really good. So that possibly our next project, maybe we'll do it that way. I would like to, but for right now, we need to just do piece by piece so we don't get too far ahead of ourselves here. But yeah, check that out, the Lovebird full floor pan deal on First Generation Garage. All right, so I'm just going to show you some points of reference I'm taking here, just so I make sure everything's coming back in when we go to put the floor in, that we get it pretty close or whatever. So start with this mark right here. This is just a center on this tunnel right here. That's just to kind of get a gauge as to where it's going to be. When it should line up because the wheel wells are still going to be in there, but just a reference point. And then over there, I've got the measurement between the wheel wells at 47 inches. And that's just to see if the car does anything, because I'm not putting any bracing in here. And then another ones we've got are right here, is right here against this rocker panel rail right here to this side of the seat mounting thing. I got that on both sides. So got 9 inches. These are just basically reference points to make sure that this goes back in the right area when we put the new one in. And then I've got a center mark right here. I don't know if you can see that for the tunnel there. And then to get the right height here, because we have a body jig, I should be pretty good with the height wise, because of the frame rails aren't going anywhere because they're already sitting on that this right here. And there's also the little tab that goes up inside the alignment hole on the frame rail. But just for, I don't know, extra overkill, like I like to do, is I've got this 1-inch tube here, and I've got it marked right here left, and so I can get it put right back where it needs to be. So I just line that up there, and then I've got a couple different points from the bottom of the seats right here, the floor pan here, and one over here. I've got that on both sides, and I don't know if I turn this, you might be able to see it. See my measurements there, 9 1/8 and 9 5/8. But I've got these on both sides. So yeah, so when we get that new floor pan in there, I'll have some reference points just to double check and make sure everything's good to go. And how am I going to know if this side or the front of the floor pan is right height or whatever? We have these right here. Those are where the subframe mounts. And if we go underneath here, right there is where they're going to be, right up in here. So that little pad there, that front floor pan, will sit right on there. So we should be good to go there. So yeah, I know I do a lot of reference points and everything and do a lot of measuring. So like here, I've got these here, and this is basically 13.5 inches from this hole to the center of this hole right here. And then same with the with this here. You got the center of this hole up here to the center of that hole there. So same thing on the other side. So I know it's overkill, but you know what? I keep saying it. We've never done this before, so measurements are your friend. Take as many as you can, or as many as you feel you need to do. That's what we do. If you don't use them, you don't use them. But if you need them, it sure is nice to have them. So let's get on to taking this floor pan out. All right, so getting ready to cut this floor pan out of here the rest of the way. I was going to do some spot weld cutting on the rail up in here, you know. But man, there's a lot of spot welds and they're big, and I don't want to do that. I'm not saving this floor pan. So anyways, like I said, I'm going to use the Vinyl Village Garage method. And one other thing is these plates right here. Now, my understanding that these are for what they call radius arms that go from the rear axle to the to what mounts under here. And I'll get underneath the car and see if you can see them. Let me grab my light here. So this is underneath there. You can see these studs here, and they're for a radius arm. Now, but our car had one on the passenger side, so I took that off when I took the rear end out. And we'll go back up top here. All right, so I reached out to Professor Louie at First Generation Garage. He is like a walking encyclopedia on first generation Firebirds. So he informed me that these radius arms only came on the 1967 Firebirds. So that's probably why I haven't seen them on other projects that are being done on the 68s and 69s. So yeah, just good information to know. So why did I need to know that? Probably really didn't, but I don't know. I just like learning about these cars and seeing what makes the different years different. So thanks for that, Louie. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to take them out. Didn't take long. It took me like about 10 minutes just to get these drilled out and popped out of there. So I'm going to take the other one out. These things are about $100 a piece. So if I don't have to replace them, I'd rather not. So remove some stuff out of the car, out of the floor pan. So just seat brackets, rear brake hose bracket here. That was on the back side behind the floor pan. And then just a couple of brake line and fuel line brackets here. Probably replace those, but yeah, I took them off anyways. And the radius arm brackets that we took off. This was the one on the passenger side. So anyways, let's get at it. This has got the saws all out, all ready to start cutting this thing out of here. Got it marked out a little bit for my own personal reference here. And so we're going to go from there all the way up over to here. Take this front section out here. That's what we'll do right now. So let's get at it. I put this piece of metal in here so that when I run my Sawzall all the way through here, I don't hit the rocker panel. She's separated. That worked out well. All right, got it separated there, so I'll get Kelly out here and take these Tech screws out the front, and we'll get this piece of the floor pan out of here. All right, Kelly and I are gonna get this out of here. Been a lot of rust here, so shaking off of this bugger. So. Hold it right, set it down right there, and I'll come around the other side. Got it? All right, Fred Flintstone car. Cool. There it is. Part of the floor pan. We'll get that all trimmed up and get that out of there too. So, all right. Let's get on it. So as you can see, I got this board here. It's just to hold up the back end of the floor pan for when I cut it out so it wouldn't flop down. Anyways, let's get to cutting that thing. All right, well, got most of that cut and ready to be pulled out of there. So let me show you what we got here. All right, get this piece out of here. Oh, crud. Look at all the crud. All right, so I cut down through here, and as you can see, boy, these torque boxes, those things are something to cut through. Cut through that with the Sawzall. So I got it separated here, and then I'm gonna get these frame rails exposed here so I can use that for the new floor pan. That's Jonathan's method. Sounds like a winner to me, so we're gonna give it a shot. So I'll get this all cleaned up here and I'll bring you back then. All right, so back of the floor is out. I got all those pieces and stuff taken out of there. I gotta bend some of the frame rail back a little bit, that air chisel. I mean, some of it is so rusted. I had some comments before, like the frame rails didn't look too bad when I did my initial walk around. But you can see there's a hole right there. I mean, that's stuff you can't see. So anyway, so I did my I did the grinder wheel all the way across the front here. And then I did the Sawzall all the way down here. I'm not very good with the grinder right now, so keep practicing on it. But so Sawzall worked good. I split right down the middle here with the Sawzall and was able to peel that back with the air chisel, and so that's how I got it out in pieces. And now I just got to clean it up a little bit, and this is why I had to take some spot welds out. This drive shaft bumper stop right there, you want to save those if you can, because they are year specific according to Louis. He's got a video out on First Generation Garage on the different bump stops and the different styles for the 67, 68, 69. So check him out if you got a question about, you know, if you find one and you're wondering what year it is, check his video out and you'll be able to tell. So anyways, so I'm going to use this as a guide for the floor pan, the new one when we put it in. So I got some cleaning up here to do, and then yeah, we'll come back. All right, so the frame rails are all cleaned up. The back channel back here is cleaned up, so now it's all ready for the floor pan. I'll just give you kind of a close-up on some of the things I had to do here, which was I just had to grind down some of these spot welds that were left up. So you see these seat belt plates here, these things just popped off on both sides when I was just trying to get some of that floor pan off of these frame rails. So that's fine. I'll show you why in a minute, but there were some booger welds here and right around in here and here. They must have just booger welded that thing on there a little bit. There's one right there. So yeah, this thing just popped off. There's really you can't really even tell what focuses or not, but can't really tell if there was any actual real spot welds on there. But yeah, so it's all good to go. I'll give you kind of a side profile here. So now that floor pan can slide right up against this. This one's a little worse for wear here, but anyways, got a good tab for it to sit on there, and there's part of it there. This other one was just rusted away. Like I said, I had some comments asking why I couldn't just reuse the frame rails. Well, this is why. You can't, I don't know if you can see that right in there. That boy, I would have never been able to see that had I not done this. So anyways, yeah, floor pan's out. All right, well, I'll show you why that seat bracket is not that big a deal that it came off of there, because the floor pan has the seat brackets on them right there, and over here. So now I won't have to adjust anything when we install this for those brackets being on there. So yeah, so anyway, floor pan's out and completely out. And now we're going to get ready to put the new one in. So stay tuned for that. Just showing the tools that I used to get that floor pan out. Obviously grinder. I used channel locks and pliers to bend the frame rails back into square or whatever you want to call it. After air chisel to get most of that floor pan out and clean up the frame rails. Obviously a wire wheel for finding the spot welds and stuff like that, and a Sawzall for cutting that floor pan out. Now you might notice that I have that Sawzall blade in backwards. I do that a lot, like when I was cutting real close to the wheel wells there, is it's a shorter distance this way than if that blade was flipped around the other way. That's just so I can get in a little tighter corners. You do what you got to do. That's just the way I do it. So, all right, well, that wraps it up for getting that floor pan out. As you can see, that crusty thing is sitting up against the car now, and hopefully you learned something or not. Maybe you learned what not to do. Who knows? Anyways, thanks for coming along, and we'll see you on the next one.